What's going on, people? We are back with yet another album ranking. This time we got Pavement, the classic indie rock band that everybody loves if you're into indie rock. One of the most influential groups from the 1990s. Stopped making music in 1999, unfortunately, but they have 5 fantastic albums under their belt. And I have to say that out of all the discography rankings I've done so far, this was the hardest one. Not only because all of their albums are so fantastic, but I like all their albums pretty much the exact same. So the gap between all of these and these 5 I'm about to rank is extremely small. It could have gone anyway, but I finally finalized it. I think I got the ranking that I wanted, so let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, we have Slanted and Enchanted. This is Pavement's debut record, a record that is widely regarded as their best most of the time, so I feel like I may catch some flack for this. But for me, I don't want to say it's the worst album, even though my ranking would indicate that. It's just the mixing is a little bit off for me, even though I know that's what it's supposed to sound like. I feel like there are a few duds in the track list that don't need to be in the album. They're just so short that they kind of serve as interludes, and I don't really find them necessary. However, that's pretty much all the negative things that I have to say about this one, as the extremely distorted guitars and laid-back delivery from Stephen Malkmus serve as some fantastic music. It kicks off with the classic Summer Babe, which pretty much sums up what the entire album will sound like, and then moves into Trigger Cut, which is another fantastic song. I have really nothing bad to say about the front half of the album. In fact, I think the front half of the record has some of Pavement's best songs in their entire catalog. However, after about the first 5 or 6 songs, you start to get a couple of those interlude type tracks, and I just didn't really care for those. But this is still a great album. Like I said, all the albums in their discog are very good, so this is just my personal least favorite. Next we have Brighten the Corners at number 4, and this is one that I nearly put at the bottom, but the more I listen to it, the more it grows on me. It kicks off with Stereo, which is a great opener, pretty weird at the beginning, but the intro transitions into a great track, and right after that you have the classic Shady Lane, which is one of Pavement's better pop songs. I kind of like a lot when Pavement goes in a more poppy direction, even though that's not really what they're known for. I think Malkmus always does a great job when he's faced with those poppy hooks. So yeah, I love that song. Date with IKEA is definitely a standout for me, so I was very surprised to see that that's the least popular song from the album, but it sounds like a different version of Candle District, which is one of my favorite songs ever, so that is definitely a plus. The only negative thing I'd say about Date with IKEA is the vocals are a little meh on the chorus. Embassy Row starts off slow but transitions into an amazing guitar riff, which continues throughout the rest of the song. The next 2 songs, Blue Hawaiian and We Are Underused, are the ones that almost drag the album down for me, as We Are Underused has an extremely annoying hook. Same thing with Blue Hawaiian, and the vocals on Blue Hawaiian are just plain out not good. However, despite that little road bump, the rest of the album, from Passat Dream to Starlings of the Slipstream to Finn, are all great. Love each and every one of those songs. So this album pretty much closes as strong as it starts off. Great record. I would consider this Pavement's most accessible record. Now at number 3, this is when the gap really gets closed, because I put Wowie Zowie at number 3, and this easily could have been number 1. About 20 minutes before I started recording, I had Wowie Zowie at number 1, so that's how tight the gap is here. But this album is so weird, definitely Pavement's weirdest album. It's pretty all over the place, but it serves very well. It starts off with We Dance, which is actually a beautiful opener, and then goes right into Rattled by the Rush, which is a perfect pairing with those two tracks, even though they sound completely different. Then moves into Blackout, which I found to be an extremely underrated song. It sounds like a Crooked Rain song almost, and I really enjoy that. And then Grounded has one of the best guitar bends I've ever heard. It's just incredible. At about the minute 30 mark in Grounded, you'll be blown away if you go listen to that. There's some pretty weird songs on here as well, such as Serpentine Pad and Flux Equals Rad, which I almost can't take super seriously. I know they're supposed to be kind of silly, but honestly, those are kind of the reason I pushed Wowie Zowie down a little bit, because if they just got rid of those and put like the 10 songs that were supposed to be on this album, then I think the album would be slightly better. I forget who in the band said that Wowie Zowie was supposed to only be like 10 songs, but there was like a conversation where a lot of the songs on Wowie Zowie are B-sides that weren't supposed to be on there, but Malkmus wanted to put them on there, so they ended up on there. Anyway, I can't finish talking about Wowie Zowie without talking about Kennel District, which is probably Pavement's best song. My personal favorite Pavement song, I think. It has this roaring like bass sound at the beginning, and then these heavy distorted guitars play through the chorus. Extremely relatable lyrics. I don't think Malkmus sings on this one, so this is definitely like the best non-Malkmus driven Pavement song, and I think it's their best song in general. So yeah, I absolutely love it, and honestly, Kennel District could have been the song that shot this all the way up to number 1, but I'm leaving it at number 3 for now. Number 2, I have Terror Twilight, which was also extremely close to being number 1. I really don't understand why Terror Twilight is so not really frowned upon, but widely considered Pavement's worst album, as it easily has some of their best songs of all time. Spit on a Stranger is such a fantastic opener. No song to me screams 1999 more than Spit on a Stranger. I'm not really sure why. Same thing with Terror Twilight's album cover. I just look at it and it makes me think 1999. It's such a beautiful opener. It leads into Folk Jam, which isn't my favorite. It sounds kind of out of place on the record. But then it goes into You Are a Light, which has one of my favorite Pavement hooks. It's so catchy. Cream of Gold really brings the rock. Major Leagues is a very beautiful song, which I think is supposed to be about moving forward in a relationship. So that song's really pretty. Billy is a strange one. I think it's really beautiful, but the transition into the hook is a little wonky. The last 3 songs, though, are all fantastic, especially the second half of Speak, See, Remember. The Hex has one of the best guitar solos I've ever heard. I'm gonna learn it on guitar after this video. Yeah, that solo is just ridiculous, but it wouldn't be as good if it didn't have that ambient intro that led up to it. And finally, Carrot Rope is such a good song, especially considering this is Pavement's final song as a band. It's just the perfect goodbye for Pavement. And it's one of the only Pavement songs that uses standard tune chords, and I kind of wish they did more with it because it's such a good song. It's fantastic. Yeah, but number 1. Number 1 is obviously Crooked Rain. Crooked Rain. This went from 3 to 2 to 1, but at the end of the day, this is the album that got me into Pavement. It's the one that let me discover the band and get into all their music, so I just couldn't help but leave it at number 1. Silence Kid, the first minute of that song is maybe the best minute in Pavement's discography, but the song as a whole is very good too. Elevate Me Later might be even better. I personally think I prefer it. Such good guitar playing, super nostalgic even though I have no childhood attachment to it. Cut Your Hair is the song that should have blew Pavement up. It still is one of their biggest hits, but it's not like a radio crazy hit. But if you hear Pavement, Cut Your Hair is most likely the song you're gonna know. And then you have Unfair, which has Malkmus just absolutely going off. His screaming in that song is great. Love that energy in that one. Can't talk about Crooked Rain without talking about Gold Sounds, which is probably even more nostalgic sounding than Elevate Me Later. Such a great hook, and speaking of great hooks, Range Life has a great hook as well. Never been one of my all-time favorites from Crooked Rain, but I've always appreciated it for what it was. And Fillmore Jive is probably the best closer in the band's catalog. But that is my ranking. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I feel like you can rank all these albums anyway, and I wouldn't be able to argue with it. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.